Welcome to the third and final video on Microsoft Word. This video covers advanced features including headers and footers, tables, images, drawing tools, and a whole lot more. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in with a couple of easy topics. First up, page breaks. In general, you want to control page breaks with the pagination options discussed in the previous video. If you remember, these pagination options are paragraph commands such as widow orphan control, keep with next, page break before, etc. If you use these options for controlling page breaks, your document is going to be much more robust. You'll be able to add and delete content without having to fuss with specific page breaks. However, sometimes you want to force a page break at a certain point in your document. For example, let's say I want to force a page break after this first paragraph. To insert a page break, set the insertion point in your document where you want the page break, then go to the Insert tab and select Page Break. Note, inserting a page break is different from the paragraph command Page Break Before. Here, I'll open up the paragraph dialog box for this paragraph to verify that Page Break Before is not set. Hard page breaks are special characters inserted into your document. To view them, turn on Show Hidden Characters. There, with hidden characters on, you can clearly see the page break I inserted. To delete a page break, make sure Show Hidden Characters is on, and then double-click the page break to select it, and then press the Delete key. Like I said, that was an easy topic, and here's another easy topic, footnotes. Footnotes are citations that appear at the bottom of the page. They explain, comment on, or provide references for something in the body of your document. I'm going to insert a footnote at the end of this second paragraph to note the source for the words used. To add a footnote, set the insertion point where you want to add the footnote, then go to the References tab and select Insert Footnote. Now type the contents of your footnote, and when you're finished, you can just click back inside the document to resume editing. Notice the numbered footnote reference added to your document. To delete a footnote, delete the reference inside your document. Next, inserting special symbols. Sometimes you need a character that's not on your keyboard. For example, maybe you need the trademark symbol, TM, or the copyright symbol, which is a C with a circle around it. I'm going to add a trademark symbol after the term razzle dazzle. To add a special symbol, set the insertion point in your document where you want the symbol, go to the Insert tab, select the pull down next to Symbol, and if you see the symbol you want, simply select it. And I see it here, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to pretend like the symbol I want is not listed. If you don't see the symbol you want, select More Symbols. As you can see, there are a number of symbols to choose from. I'm going to select and insert the trademark symbol, and then close the symbol dialog box. Next, document watermarks. Watermarks are faint text or pictures placed behind the body of your document. For example, you might want to mark the pages of your document as draft. To insert a watermark, go to the Design tab and select Watermark. You can select one of the default values or create your own watermark. I'm going to select Custom Watermark. Notice you can use images or text as your watermark. I'll enter the text Top Secret. Notice you can also control the color of the font as well. To delete a watermark, go back to the Design tab, select Watermark, and then Remove Watermark. Well, that's all the easy topics for a while. Take a deep breath or a swig of coffee if that's your thing, because the next topic is a bit more involved. I'm going to discuss inserting and formatting local images and images from the internet. I make a distinction between local images and images from the internet because the process of finding and inserting each type of image is unique. Once inserted though, the formatting options are the same. Here, let me show you what I mean. To insert an image, go to the Insert tab. To insert a local image, select Pictures. A dialog box opens for you to select the image from your hard drive, the flash drive, or etc. To insert an image from the internet, select Online Pictures. From here you can search for royalty-free images called clip art, as well as other images across the web. Note, before Office 2013, clip art images were included with the software. Starting with Office 2013, clip art resides online. With the current version of Word, you have to have an active internet connection in order to insert clip art. Be aware that most of the images on the web are copyrighted. In most cases, you need permission in order to use them in your own work. On the other hand, clip art supplied by Microsoft is royalty-free. You can use the images in your work without paying a fee or asking for permission. I'm going to search for clip art that has something to do with books. Notice that clip art includes photos as well as illustrations. I'm going to use this image because it has sort of a diamond shape. You'll see why that's important in a minute. After selecting the image, amazingly enough, pressing Insert inserts the image into your document. Once you have the image in your document, probably the first change or edit you want to make is to properly size the image. To resize an image, click and drag one of these handles at the corners. Notice that resizing using the handles on the corners preserves the aspect ratio of the image. It resizes the height and the width the same proportions. If you try to resize using one of the handles on the side though, it's not going to preserve the aspect ratio, and unless you're very careful, the resulting image is going to be distorted. Once you have the image at the desired size, next you probably want to specify how text should wrap around the image. You can specify text wrapping from the icon next to the image, or from the Format tab that appears when you select the image. The options for text wrapping are Square, which wraps text around a rectangular outline of the image, Tight, which wraps text tightly around just the opaque parts of the image, Top and Bottom, which moves text to the top and to the bottom of the image, and finally, you can make the image appear in front of or behind the text. I'm going to select Tight. Next, you probably want to position the image by dragging it to the desired location. I'm going to drag it to the right of this first paragraph. I'm also going to right-click the image now and select Size and Position. Here you can see three tabs for the three attributes we just set: Position, Text Wrapping, and Size. Notice that under Position, there's an option here for Move Object with Text. You probably want to select this. With this set, if the text next to the image moves up or down for some reason, say you enter or remove text above the image is going to move right along with the text. Here, let me demonstrate. I'll hit the return key a couple times after the title. Notice that as the text moves down, the image moves down with the text. That was an example of inserting and positioning clip art. Inserting and positioning images from the local file system works much the same way. I'll insert a local image and demonstrate some additional formatting commands you can apply to images from any source. To insert a local image, go to the Insert tab, select Pictures, navigate to the directory containing your image file, select the file, and then click on Insert. I'm going to resize and position the image as I did for the clip art previously. Now I'm going to demonstrate some additional formatting commands. To apply the commands, first you have to select the image so Word knows which image to apply the command to. The commands I'm going to demonstrate are available on the Adjust group on the Format tab. Underneath Corrections, there are options for softening or sharpening the image, as well as increasing and decreasing the contrast and brightness. The color pull-down allows you to adjust the colors of the image. Images from some digital cameras might favor one color over another, and you can correct for that problem with this option. Artistic Effects has some interesting options. In the Picture Styles group, there's a gallery of predefined styles that has different border options. I'm going to select this small icon in the lower right to view all the options. It has live preview, so as you hover over the different options, you can see what effect it's going to have on your image. I think I'll select this option for soft edges. And there's other options here you might want to explore, such as picture border and picture effects. But the final formatting command that I want to demonstrate is cropping. Oftentimes, when you take a picture with a camera, you get more than the subject in the photograph. When this happens, you might want to crop out parts of the picture that you don't want. Let's say this guy on the left is a real jerk, and you don't want to include him in the photo. I'll select Crop, and I'm going to drag the handle on the left here to crop him out. And notice that cropping handles work differently from resizing handles. With the cropping handles, you're cutting out parts of the picture. With the resizing handles, you're changing the resolution of the picture. That's all I wanted to say about inserting and formatting images. The next topic is WordArt. WordArt is basically stylized text. It provides a way of making your text look interesting and more exciting. To insert WordArt, go to the Insert tab and use this tiny little obscure button here in the text group to select a text style that's close to what you want. And then enter your text. And once inserted, you position WordArt using the same techniques for positioning images that we just talked about. I'm going to set the wrapping style to before and after. And now I'm going to click and drag to position the text. Once you have WordArt in your document, there are a number of ways to style the text. Notice that selecting WordArt in your document brings up a contextual format tab. From this tab, you can use one of the quick styles, and these are the same style options available when we first inserted WordArt. Also from the WordArt styles group, you can modify the text fill, and there's a different one here for the text outline. And underneath text effect, there are a number of other options such as shadow, reflection, and glow is kind of interesting. And there's some other options here too you might want to explore. The last one here, transform, is interesting. You can use it to make your WordArt follow a curve. I'll also point out that you can rotate WordArt by clicking and dragging this handle here at the top. Next up, shapes and drawing. There's special software tools for creating hand-drawn images from the computer, but you can accomplish quite a bit using just the drawing tools that are built into Microsoft Word. The drawing tools are located from the Insert tab off of this Shapes button. And needless to say, I don't have time to discuss every option here, but I do want to demo a few of the features that I find most useful. There's a number of predefined shapes that you can insert. I'm going to start with a basic rectangle. Notice that shapes have a fill color which is separate from the outline color. And I can also control the size of the outline color. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I'm going to copy and paste this rectangle to make a door. And why don't I change the fill color of this door? And I'm going to insert a triangle for the roof. You can add text to a drawing using the text box. I'm going to remove the fill for this text box and the outline around the text box. And I'll finish it off by drawing an arrow with the freehand drawing tool. Right now, my drawing consists of 5 individual objects. I can group them into a single object by selecting each object, and I'm holding down the Shift key here as I click on the objects. After selecting all of them, I'll right-click and select Group. Now the drawing is a little bit easier to manage as one composite object. As an object, the position and text wrapping features we discussed earlier are going to apply. Well, I hope you aren't tired of the Insert tab, because there's a couple more options on this tab that I wanted to demonstrate. And the next is Tables. Tables are used to organize data into columns and rows. To insert a table, you have a couple of different options. First, you can go to the Insert tab, select Table, and select one of the pre-formatted table templates here. And once you insert one, then you can replace the data in the table with your own data. And I'll undo that because I want to demonstrate a couple more. Another option for inserting a table is use the gallery in the Insert Table dropdown and drag the mouse over the boxes to select the number of rows and columns in your table. Yet another option for inserting a table is to go to the Insert tab and select the Insert Table dialog box from the table dropdown. And from here you can specify the number of rows and columns in your table. You can also specify the auto fit behavior, which is how the widths of the columns will be determined. Fixed column width makes the columns a fixed size. Auto fit to contents will adjust the width of the columns dynamically depending on what's in the columns. Here I'll demonstrate auto fit. If you aren't happy with column widths or the row heights after inserting a table, you can adjust these values manually by clicking and dragging on the borders between the cells. If column widths or row heights get unbalanced after making some manual edits, you can distribute rows and columns evenly using these icons on the cell size group. The final option I'll mention for adding a table is to just draw it. After selecting the Draw Table option, click and drag to define the outline of your table, and then click and drag inside the table to add rows and columns. If you make a mistake, you can use the eraser tool to erase lines. And to get back the normal cursor, click outside the table. Here, let me get this table out of the way because I want to insert a new table to demonstrate data entry into a table. I'm going to insert a simple table using the gallery option. Data entry in a cell works like data entry in your document. Notice that content wraps when it gets to the end of the cell. And also, there's a ruler here with left and right indent, hanging indented, etc. You can add tabs to the ruler. Speaking of tabs, tabs work a little bit differently inside of a table. When the insertion point is inside of a cell, pressing the tab key takes you to the next cell, Which sort of begs the question, how do you add a tab character then? And the answer is with the control key. To add a tab character inside of a table cell, hold down the control key before pressing the tab key. By default, content within a cell aligns to the upper left. You can change the alignment using these icons in the alignment group on the Layout tab. Here I'll center the contents of this cell horizontally and vertically. There are a couple of different ways to change the structure of a table. Earlier I showed you how to add and delete rows and cells using the table drawing tools. Well, these tools work just as well on existing tables. Here I'll add a column to the right and delete a column. Another option for changing the structure of a table is our old friend right-click. To add a column or row, right-click near where you want to add this column or row and select Insert. From the pop-up menu, you can insert columns left or right of where you clicked, or rows above or below where you clicked. You can also merge cells from the right-click menu. To merge cells, select the cells you want to merge, right-click over them, and then select Merge Cells. To delete a row or column, again you can right-click and select Delete Cells, or you can delete rows and columns using the Delete icon on the Table Layout tab. This Delete icon also provides an option for deleting the whole table. Once you have a table and are pleased with the structure of it, the next task is to make it look nice. You can enhance the appearance of tables with borders and shading. Word has built-in table styles for quickly formatting a table. To apply one, select the table, go to the Design tab, and it's here you can select directly from this gallery, or to see all the options, use this pull down in the lower right-hand corner. If you don't like any of the options using the built-in table styles, you can adjust the border and shading of the cells in the table as a whole manually. To edit the borders and shading of a cell, select the cell, then open the Borders and Shading dialog box. And notice this is the same dialog box used for paragraphs, borders, and shading that we talked about earlier. However, since we started from a table, we have the option of applying our change to the paragraph, to the cell, or to the table as a whole. I'm going to elect to have the changes applied to the cell. Now I'm going to select a custom border. I'll specify the line style and the line color. And let me choose a line width here. And finally, I need to specify which edges of the cell should be affected. The Borders and Shading dialog box also works for the table as a whole. I'm going to go back to the Borders and Shading dialog box. And this time I'm going to make sure that the table is specified. I'll pick something interesting here for the border. And something equally attractive for shading. And we can see the effect on the table as a whole. Microsoft Word has very intuitive behavior when it comes to wrapping text around a table. If you want to display a table within text, you can simply click on the table handle and drag it inside the text, and as you see, the text will nicely wrap around the table. You can change the default text wrapping behavior by going to the Layout tab, Table Properties, and the Table tab, and selecting a different value for text wrapping. The last table feature I want to demonstrate is creating a table from existing text. If you already have text in your document that you'd like to format as a table, Word makes it easy to create a table from this text. Let's say I want to format the text you see here as a table. Notice I'm using a comma to separate the words. To create a table from text, highlight the text, go to the Insert Table option, and underneath Table, select Convert Text to Table. Notice Word recognized I was using a comma to separate the text and made it the default separator. I'm also going to select Auto Fit to Content. I think that's enough for tables. Let's move on to a new topic. And that topic is headers and footers. Headers and footers help you repeat the same content at the top and bottom of every page. For example, in books, you might see the chapter title printed at the top of each page and the page number at the bottom. To add a header or footer, go to the Insert tab and select one of the predefined templates. Notice there's several to choose from here. I'm going to select the first one, which is a blank template. And I'm going to add the word confidential. And I'll make it right aligned here. There, you can see the contents now for this header are repeated at the top of every page. Notice that when editing a header or footer, there's a new header and footer design tab on the ribbon. This tab has many options for controlling the appearance of headers and footers. For example, different first page creates a different header and footer for the first page. I'll check it and add a new header for the first page here. Notice as I scroll down, there's a different header and footer for the first page. Why is this useful? Well, if you had a title or cover page in your document, chances are you'd want different headers and footers for the first page, for the title page. Another option here allows you to have different headers and footers for odd pages and even pages. This is something you might need if your document was going to be printed as a book. To get back to the main document, double-click outside the header or footer, or you can select this Close button. To reopen a header or footer, double-click in the header or footer. To delete a header or footer, go back to the Insert Header Footer option and select Remove. Next, I want to discuss inserting page numbers. You might have noticed that some of the header and footer templates we just examined included options with page numbers. So one option for inserting page numbers is to choose a header or footer template that includes the page number. Another option, a sort of shortcut, is to go to the Insert tab, select Page Number, scroll down to top of page or bottom of page, select one of the predefined options, and I'm going to select the format here that shows page X of Y. And whatever option you choose, the results are going to be the same. You'll have a header or footer with the page number. Next, how to insert a cover page. Microsoft Word offers several predefined, pre-formatted cover pages. To insert one, go to the Insert tab, select the Pages button, Cover Page, and then select the one that you want. There's really nothing magical about a cover page. You could get the same result by adding some text, entering a page break, checking the option that has different headers and footers for the first page, etc. However, it's a lot easier to use one of the predefined options. Also, if none of the predefined options are exactly what you want, you can always select one that is close and then edit it to better suit your needs. And speaking of editing a cover page, notice that some of the predefined templates include document properties. For example, here's a reference to the document's title property. And here's a reference to the document's author property. Document properties are global variables. They're associated with the whole document. When the value of a property changes, all references to that property in the document are automatically updated. It's probably easier to demonstrate this rather than try to explain it with words. So this cover page includes a property field for document title. And if I remember correctly, one of the header options also had the document title field in it. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to insert this header, which includes a document title field. And there you can see the document title field is both the same value as in the cover page and in the header. I'm going to go back to the cover page and update the value for the document title field. Notice that it also updates the value in the header. One important consequence of this is this. If you're editing a cover page and you want to get rid of a document property, it's better to delete the property rather than to erase the contents. If you just erase the text but leave the field, the text will reappear if the value of the field is ever updated in the future. Here, I'm going to delete the author field by selecting it and pressing the delete key. To delete a cover page, go to the Insert tab, select the Pages button, Cover Page, and then Remove Current Cover Page. Next up, page margins and page orientation. Page margins are the amount of blank space around the edges of your document. Having blank space around the edges generally improves readability, and when printed, it provides room for you to make notes in the margin. The gray area on the horizontal ruler indicates the left and right page margins. The gray area here on the vertical ruler indicates the top and bottom page margins. If I go to print preview, you can clearly see all four margins. To change the margins, go to the Page Setup group on the Page Layout tab. Behind the margin buttons, there's several default margins. I'm going to select wide. Notice that wide is asymmetric and that the top and bottom will be 1 inch and the left and the right will be 2 inches. To specify custom margins, go to the Page Setup group on the Page Layout tab. Click on the Margins button and then choose Custom Margins. Here you can specify exactly what margins you want at the top, bottom, left, and right. And margins apply to the whole document unless you use sections. A simple way of having different margins for different sections of your document is to set the insertion point before going to Custom Margins and then select this point forward. Closely associated with page margins is page orientation. Page orientation can be portrait or landscape. Portrait is taller than it is wide, and landscape is wider than it is tall. Reading material is generally presented in portrait format. Landscape format is useful when the material contains a wide drawing or image. To set the orientation for the whole document, go to the Page Layout tab, select Orientation, and then Landscape or Portrait. Notice how when I switch to Landscape, all the pages are wider than they are tall. I'm going to undo that for the next example. Word also allows you to have different orientation for different pages. To change the orientation for one page only, select the contents of the page, go to the Page Layout tab, open the Custom Margins dialog box, select Apply to Selected Text, and then choose the desired orientation. Notice how it changes the orientation of just the page that I had selected. Next up, change tracking. It's common practice to send a document out to others for review. One option for gathering comments is to pass along your Word document with change tracking on. When change tracking is turned on, all changes to the document will be flagged. Reviewers make whatever modifications they deem appropriate and then return the document to you, and you can decide whether to accept or reject each one. Let's try an example. To turn on change tracking, go to the Review tab and toggle the Track Changes icon. The icon is shaded when change tracking is on. Now, any changes to the document will be flagged. I'm going to assume the role of reviewer now and make a few minor changes. I'm going to delete the word absolutely and use a semicolon here rather than a period. And I guess I'll have to change the J to a lowercase then. You can toggle the display of changes by clicking on the change bar in the left margin. Changes can be shown in line, as you see here, or in bubbles in the right-hand margin. To select one or the other, go to Show Markup and then Balloons. I'll pretend I'm the document owner now, and I've just received the document back from a reviewer. At this point, I can accept all changes, or systematically go from one change to the next and decide if I want to accept or reject it. I'm going to reject the suggestion that I remove the word absolutely, but I'm going to accept the change from 2 sentences to 1 sentence. And the last topic I want to discuss in this epic video is compare and merge. There are some downsides to using change tracking for gathering and integrating reviewer comments. First, reviewers have to turn on and keep on change tracking. There's nothing preventing them from accidentally or deliberately turning off change tracking while making changes. Second, it doesn't work well with multiple simultaneous reviewers. There's no easy way to merge the track changes of multiple reviewers. Another option for gathering and integrating reviewer comments, not burdened by these downsides, is compare and merge. With compare and merge, you send a copy of your document to reviewers and ask them to make the changes directly without change tracking on. When you get the document back, you use compare and merge to systematically reject or accept each change. Let me show you how it works. I created 2 files, one called Original and the other called Reviewer 1. Reviewer 1 is the original document with a few minor changes. To compare the 2 documents, go to the Review tab, select Compare, and then Compare again. Browse for and select the original document. Browse for and select the revised document, and then select OK. As you can see, we have the original document in the upper right-hand corner, the revised document in the lower right-hand corner, an explanation for the differences on the left-hand side, and in the middle are the inline revisions. As with change tracking, I can skip through the changes and decide which to accept or reject. I'm going to accept the suggestion to replace possible with is needed. And I'm also going to accept the addition of the apostrophe. But I'm going to reject the suggestion to use the word understandability in place of coherence. I can now close the 2 documents we were comparing and save this new document, which contains the merged changes. Well, that concludes the 3rd and final video on Microsoft Word. You've been a great audience. I wish you the best of luck with your adventures in